Hey folks, welcome to our tech talk on AI-powered data management for the Splunk platform. We will get started in just a minute. We see people trickling in. Just a reminder, all these reminders are on screen, which I'm sure you've seen before, but this will be recorded, sent out to everybody who's registered, and the Q&A will also be published and posted on our community blog. So please send in all the questions you have on this platform, and we'll do our best to answer all of them. We'll give everybody another minute or so. Yes, the recording will be available later. Okay, let's get started. All right, so welcome to our AI-powered data management tech talk. We're really excited to walk you through these new exciting capabilities to make your jobs easier, faster, better. And yeah, let's get to it. So presenters, I'm going to introduce myself as well as the other two Splunk experts on the call. My name is Michelle Kapora. I'm a product marketing manager supporting all things platform and data management specifically. So this is so awesome to be able to get to partner with our product team and talk to you all about the great work that they've done and innovations. All right, we also have Oscar and Varun. Please introduce yourselves.
Yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Oscar. I'm a product manager at Splunk. And I'll be happy to walk you through some of our amazing capabilities that we are recently doing preview and going to GA soon. Yeah, thank you. Over to you, Varun.
Hi everyone, my name is Varun. I'm a product manager on the data management team here at Splunk. I'm very excited to be here to walk through some of the exciting things we are working on.
Thanks, guys. All right, so our agenda, we're going to start out level setting around the value of Splunk data management capabilities, kind of all about maximizing the value of your data. We'll dive into the Cisco Data Fabric, which I'm sure many of you have heard us talk about over the past months or so. We'll provide a little bit of clarity around that word. Moving into AI-powered data management capabilities and a deep dive into each one. Oscar and Varun will provide technical details, demos, and then of course we'll end with live Q&A. All right, so as a product marketer, whether I'm presenting to customers like here, interacting with folks at events, or interacting and getting feedback directly from customers, the biggest challenge we end up hearing from folks like yourselves is how to maximize the value of your data in this era of exponential growth. So, make no mistake, machine data is growing rapidly. The global volume of data is around 181 zettabytes and on track to triple in 2 years, with 1.3 billion agents expected to be in operation. This is almost an unimaginable amount of data organizations have to sift through. We hear questions all the time like, what data do I use? When do I use it versus when do I discard it? And as a result, complexity is getting a lot worse. Not all data is important, and knowing when the data is versus isn't important can be confusing. Data without context is useless. It drowns already siloed teams, resulting in organizations lacking that end-to-end visibility. So when you can't make sense of your data, it's an expensive $400 billion problem globally. Oh, our research with Oxford Economics found that the total direct cost of downtime averages 200 million per year per company. All that data is scattered everywhere across multiple clouds, on-prem data centers, SaaS platforms, and data lakes. It's what we call data chaos. And this chaos has real measurable costs. Like I said, the average enterprise loses $200 million per year to system downtime. Data breaches even cost an average of 4.9 million each. And 94% of companies report that data silos are slowing their innovation. They can't ship new AI features, they can't respond to competitive threats, and they're stuck in firefighting mode. As one customer recently put it, if we don't solve this, we risk becoming irrelevant no matter how much data we have. But here's the good news. It's a massive opportunity if you can turn that chaos into clarity. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about today. So we empathize, we hear you, we're here to be with you in this journey. So like I said, not all data really is created equal. Look at this chart. Oh, there's a little bit of clicks to get through here. But look at this chart. On the timeline from the left to the right, we have data age from real-time sub-second data all the way out to 10 years or more. Oh, I went too far. Oh no, do it all over again. Okay. Essentially, for real-time prevention, detection, and threat monitoring, you'll need data that's like a second to an hour old. You need instant access and high performance. For incident investigation and threat hunting, you might need data that's a day to a month old. You still need good performance, but you can kind of tolerate a little bit more latency. And for compliance, forensics, and audit, you might need data that's years old and you access it rarely, maybe once a quarter, once a year when the auditor comes knocking. The key insight is this: you need the right data at the right time at the right cost. You can't afford to index everything in a high performance system, but you also can't afford to have blind spots. This is where intelligent data management and federation come in, having that balanced, mature data strategy. That's that hot data that's on the left side of this graph is where Splunk's data management solutions come into and where we'll dive into more in this webinar. So we've established the problem. Data really is exploding. It's scattered everywhere, and it's costing enterprises $400 billion a year in downtime, breaches, and lost innovation. But let me flip this around and ask you guys, what if you could eliminate 70% of the manual data prep work? Remember, that's where your teams are spending a lot of their time today, writing regex, mapping fields, fixing broken timelines. And what if you could turn distributed chaos into that unified intelligence? Here we go. So we're going to introduce the Cisco Data Fabric. This is really where it all comes together. It's a revolutionary new architecture, not a product, but an architecture designed to harness the value of machine data with AI powered by the Splunk platform. So I like to say it's the operational data context layer, what Splunk is so good at doing historically for over 20 years, unifying data and providing context to your data, coupled with new and exciting ways to activate AI to turn your data chaos into a competitive strategy in the agentic era. And Splunk really is at the heart of it. Let me walk you through this architecture. The vision rests on a few core pillars. So we have AI-powered data management on the far left, federated search, and with AI kind of sprinkled throughout the Splunk platform. And at that foundation, we have the machine data lake, a unified repository for all your operational data. That means security data, observability data, network data, IT data, all landing in one place, managed intelligently. But we're here to talk about AI-powered data management. This is about connecting to your data across all sources, edge, cloud, on-prem, contextualizing that data and creating business value from it with intelligent routing, filtering, optimizing that operates at a massive scale while controlling costs. So the outcomes of adding an operational data context layer to your organization are clear and impactful. The Cisco Data Fabric enables each of these through core areas of the Splunk platform. I want to draw your attention to maximizing data value, process data at the edge, fund use cases with clear ROI, and store data in cost-effective tiers. This is where Splunk data management comes into context and really shines. And this is how I like to drive home the value of Splunk data management. Streamline data pipelines with intelligent filtering, masking, transformation, and routing at the edge. Reduce storage costs and compute overhead by optimizing data volumes, converting logs to metrics, and ensuring only high-value data is retained. So an awesome reminder of how your data management is the key, the gatekeeper and brain, essentially, to managing your data across your organization. Each data source and data pipeline can serve multiple purposes across your organization. Both security ops, IT, and IT ops teams need access to that data. And if one of those teams are duplicating that data, your organization is now paying to store that same data twice and not sharing valuable insights cross-functionally. If teams are able to reuse data based on their use cases, your organization will not only see results, but also save costs and better manage your infrastructure. Now, let me talk to you a little bit more about how you actually process and route all this data intelligently. We offer complementary capabilities depending on your needs and a deployment model, edge processor and ingest processor, which maybe you're familiar with. Let me break down when and why you'd use each one. Edge processor is designed for customers with advanced data processing needs. Want to collect data at the edge? You would use this to route, filter, and mask data all at the edge. This is for if you're thinking, I need more than just basic filtering. I want streamlining manipulation functions like logs to metrics conversions and deduplication that ensures complex ways to optimize my data. I value a central control plane to manage everything, but I also want a rich pre-built content library, so you don't have to build logic from scratch. So here's what Edge Processor delivers. You can ingest data from any source. You can preview sample data to test your pipelines before deploying them. You can route data to Splunk Cloud Platform, Splunk Enterprise, or Amazon S3 based on your business rules. And critically, you can process data on customer-managed infrastructure at the edge using our SPL2 processing engine. This means the data gets filtered, enriched, and optimized before it ever leaves your environment, which is huge for security, compliance, and cost optimization. Now, ingest processor, it's similar in power, but different with deployment models. This is a Splunk managed processing device that runs on the cloud, which makes it perfect if you want the same advanced capabilities without actually having to manage that infrastructure yourself. You get a live capture view of incoming data, plus sample data options for testing. You can route to a single Splunk Cloud Platform deployment, Amazon S3, or even Splunk Observability Cloud. And the processing happens using Splunk's managed SPL2 processing engine with zero operational overhead for you. This is ideal for cloud-first customers who want powerful data management without the complexity of managing edge infrastructure. And of course, both of these use SPL2 as the underlying processing language, which means consistent syntax and logic across your entire data management strategy. Whether you're doing advanced transformations at the edge or simple filtering in the cloud, your teams are using the same skills in the same language, but that bottom line is you get flexibility. Edge processor for advanced edge-based processing with full control, and then ingest processor for advanced cloud-managed processing with zero operational overhead. This is intelligent data management that adapts to your needs. So here's a quick look at how the data flows and how our data processors act as that gatekeeper. With Edge Processor and Ingest Processor, you have the option to process data close to the data source or have the option to have it fully hosted and managed by Splunk Platform before routing to external sources. The choice is yours based on your needs. So let's connect the dots back here to the Cisco Data Fabric. Splunk Data Management unifies, optimizes, and secures your machine data at scale, transforming it into a strategic asset that fuels real-time insights, operational intelligence, and compliance in the agentic AI era. So how can you access these outcomes and results quicker and easier? It's AI-powered data management. We're using AI to automate data onboarding tasks to eliminate the manual work of setting up and maintaining pipelines. So let's dive in. We really value feedback from customers like yourselves. We hear that traditional data onboarding is painful. We're hearing teams spend 70% of their time on data preparation, writing complex regex expressions, mapping fields, fixing broken pipelines when log formats change. It's what we call the hidden tax of data management. And 80 to 90% of enterprise data is unstructured, which makes this even harder. This manual work is slow, error-prone, requires specialized skills, and doesn't really scale well. You're probably hearing this and thinking, yeah, that's us. We have 4 core AI-powered capabilities that turn raw telemetry into actionable intelligence. like what if AI could do this really for you? That's exactly what we're building with guided onboarding, with auto-schematization and automated field extraction, as well as self-healing pipelines. Just a reminder, these features are all in alpha, and we've really appreciated the opportunity to hear feedback directly from customers over the past few weeks. And as with any alpha stage, we're incorporating customer feedback in real time. So when this launches in market, we've got a robust and refined solution that addresses your needs and integrates with your workflows. So these will all be generally available this summer. And what I want to leave you with is we're streamlining data flow, enhancing insights for better decision making, and optimizing resources to reduce costs and maximize your data value. We're moved from just managing data to automating intelligence. So let's hand over to the Splunk experts who build these capabilities themselves and drive the technical details, learn where you can expect to use this in your data management workflows and see it in action. Oscar, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. All right, so I will jump quickly to when we talk about the AI-powered data management. I would like to start with a set of capabilities that actually streamline the very important part, very complex part, and very challenging to get value out of Splunk, which is data onboarding. So, intelligent data onboarding is something like we as a team are working on right now with the primary goal to provide faster time to value to customers, like from Splunk, and provide as easy, as seamless, and clear way of building your data onboarding plan. Overall, based on any study, any customer interactions, we have data onboarding is one of the primary challenges that comes into play for Splunk customers. Maximizing value out of Splunk is difficult for that reason. Being able to adhere data sources and security solutions or observability solutions is a challenge. Yeah. So how to make that mapping association seamless, how to make our customers' life easier to start enjoying and leveraging Splunk as soon as possible. This is the goal. Yeah. So when we talk about AI-powered data management, we talk about the suite of different AI-powered capabilities that helps to maintain the full cycle of data management. So a full cycle of data pipeline. So starting from onboarding to configurations to setting up the lifecycle management. So to ensure continuous operations of such pipeline. So talking about our capabilities that we are shipping today, yeah. So one of the features which comes to alpha stage, so a preview stage, early June, is guided onboarding recommendation agent. So what that agent does, you have ability to identify what is your intent, to define what is your intent as a user. Yeah. So let's say I have a common data source. Now, how should I build my data onboarding plan? So I identify and provide that information into the system. Then there is a back and forth set of interactions happening with the system where you are getting as an outcome understanding of that intent, and we produce a tailored data onboarding plan. So essentially a task list and topology that helps you understand what type of Splunk infrastructure I need to set up, what type of configurations I need, and how to make this configuration and working step by step to unlock data flowing into Splunk in a proper and optimized way. Yeah. As part of this path, we also provide a lot of optimization logic that you can also deploy and then leverage some of the capabilities either Edge or ingest processor provides out of the box. So like Michelle mentioned, there is a lot of out-of-the-box content, out-of-the-box pipeline, SPL2 pipelines that you can use to either filter your data or metricize, or there is also kind of capability which allows you to provide kind of generic basic trimming of known data sources, or common data sources or custom data sources that follows simply kind of best practices general pattern. Yeah, so we have kind of getting started, easy getting started templates that also are equipped into those systems. Yeah, so there is another capability which we are actually ending a preview today. So something that is essential for optimizing data onboarding for custom sources. So imagine we have a type of data that simply has no Splunk owned, Splunk supported, or Cisco supported TA. So there is a type of data which, based on our telemetry, represents a larger part of the customer data that flows into Splunk. So how can I onboard some custom application logs, some unknown logs, that are not very common to Splunk and not covered in Splunk base, not covered in SIEM. So for that type of use cases, like the onboarding starts not just with building a plan, but also with defining those configurations. So here we are with that solution called AI-powered auto-schematization. So what it does essentially is, and I will switch to the proper screen. So in the system, we have a very brief, very simple process where we analyze the data samples that customer provides. We provide recommendations of schema. And as an output, we produce ready-to-use, validated, tested technology add-on or SPL2 pipeline. So this is as simple as it can be. The goal is to provide most simplified way to make data actionable, usable in Splunk infrastructure. And that goal to be able to address at scale requires some scalable solution. So this is definitely our path towards scalable solutions by making data onboarding easier and faster, irrespective of what type of data is this. Is this structured, unstructured data? Is it Cisco data, or is it something that is not very common, but it's specific, for example, to your in-house applications? Yeah, so as I mentioned, we are wrapping up from this preview, and we got a lot of feedback from customers, so a lot of ideas. I think overall backlog is well baked for a few quarters. Yeah, so some of the capabilities already prioritized. So interactive fields edition, yeah. So TA detection, a very nice I feel feature that will help customers diagnose what type of data it is. So essentially, if we have a type of data that system identifies has a known Splunk supported TA, it will immediately display that information to customer. So you don't need to go through the whole process. Instead, you can simply use what's already existing in the system. So the goal was here to also identify where building a new TA from scratch is not necessary. Yeah, so we start with Splunk supported, but we will go beyond. We'll also in future allow customers to get information about what type of TAs is already in their infrastructure and can be identified and mapped to a new data that is to be onboarded. Yeah, yeah. So these are the main additions. I will now go to demo. So I'll present both workflows for you. Here we are in the data management app. Okay, let me, before I talk, I will share the screen. All right. So where our capability will live? Our capability will live in an app called data management. So this is something that is coming in our Splunk cloud environments. So where it will land, it will be part of the whole data management unified experience, where you will have a specific entry point called scenarios. Scenarios is what we describe as a kind of story that you are telling us of what type of data you want to onboard, why, and we came up with the ready-to-use artifacts or ready-to-use blueprint for that intent. Yeah. So I click on onboard data, and I end up in this initial phase in two type of onboarding methods. Yes. So one is like what I mentioned earlier, like there is a common data source, and I want to get Splunk to provide me a validate applied architecture reference, yeah, and tell me exactly what I need to do to onboard this data, yeah. So now in this workflow, we are taking you through the set of queries, set of questions around what type of use case I want to enable, what type of data I want to upload, start flowing in, what type of existing solutions I have that help me to scale. So an example is Data Manager. Data Manager is an application that allows you to automate configurations from some of the most common data sources at scale, such as AWS, CrowdStrike, Events Hub. I go through this set of questions. I define my overall needs, my expected throughput, my expected latency, additional use cases. Can it be like masking? Can it be filtering again? Like also, there is a question where we identify what is the recommended storage for you. So let's say I need fast real-time search. Yeah. So then the natural destination, the natural store would be Splunk Index. But if I want to do my alternative routing, I have my known, I have my own S3 bucket, for example. Yeah. So I want to send this data to S3. I don't need to worry about, I don't worry about immediate search. I want to keep this data stored, but it's consumable with federated search. Yeah. So so that cheap alternative storage is also something that can be identified in that questionnaire. Also, like there is a new capability that is coming, which is called machine data lake. So our recommendation agent will also get the proper recommendations based on and include those machine data lake as a recommended destination based on your intent. Yeah. So you can, the whole process that you are seeing here, you can also do with chat. Yeah. And now as an output, yeah, we are ending up with this nice view where you have a set of tasks and specific items that I need to accomplish, along with the topology view. So you can see both how I expect to spin up my end-to-end data pipeline and what I need to do to spin it up. So what I need to configure and how. Yeah. So these whole interactions can happen again, like in a manual way, but also I can speak with my assistant and I can have him execute certain activities. Yeah. So so that's the flow. This is how we will start this journey of getting into this streamlined data onboarding experience. In the future, we expect a lot of automations around these tasks, which means like today you will be able to get a proper data onboarding plan. In future, you'll be able to execute those tasks from this end-to-end flow. So you don't need to switch between systems. Instead, you will be able to execute everything from this single interface. Yeah. Okay. So this is onboarding process for known data sources. Now, I will show you the other flow where I have a custom data, where I don't have a TA, when there is a simply, an intent. I want to make this data structured, make this data unified to a schema. The schema that we provide in preview is SIM. So in that flow, we upload the data sample, and that data sample is being analyzed by the system, and in outcome, it produces a set of information about what type of data this might be. It produces the source type recommendation. It groups this data into event types, so the format that we are familiar with when it comes to TAs. So event types and tags as kind of mapping part for SIM definitions. So we get into this nice view, editable view, where you can change, modify things, when you can get a proper grouping for the samples you provided. And now, as we proceed, we are getting recommendations on specific data models. So you have typically you have a number of selections. The top selection is always the recommended one. You also have an ability to simply extract every field. So automated field extraction, just what you actually have in the event versus doing field calculation and all this stuff that is necessary for SIM. So for that option, we have a type of, we call it like a custom schema. So that entry point will allow you to simply extract everything from event, irrespective of whether this is SIM or not SIM associated. Yeah. So now we jump into the interface where we actually start working on the events. So as we identified what we want to do, what type of data model fits the data that we want to promote to building the eventual TA, I'm sitting in this interface where I can edit this view. So let's say I'm not happy with the entire output. I would like to modify some fields, or I have a need to add some custom fields. So this is something that we heard from customers, like there is a frequent need to add some custom fields on top of what has been produced. Yeah. So to have a fully working TA, let's say I have expected events, but I need one more field that I typically add as a kind of tag, for example, access tag, let's say, to the TA. So in that situation, I can interface with the chat. I can provide information to that chat. Let's say I want to extract field called vendor, and that field is being produced, and I simply upload that field, the list of fields I am producing with that TA. So after this is done, I'm progressing to the review artifacts window. So in that window, it typically loads a bit here. This is a prototype, so you will get it immediately. Yes, but this is the moment where we actually test the full set of artifacts to make sure that there is no breaking contract. So this is the crucial part. So after we promote some specific set of SIM mapping rules and how we envision that TA, this is the creation part and validation part. So we are running this kind of auto-validation and repair mechanism where we do a set of iterations and ensure that whatever was identified by the user before in the schematization screen will actually comes in the output in the review artifact screen, so in the ready to use the TA packaging. Yeah, so we end up in that screen, and we have, again, we have two types of artifacts. So we can simply have a ready-to-use TA, or we can have a pipeline that will, SPL2 pipeline that will allow you to apply those extractions, field extractions in EP or IP. So it will follow SIM definitions, but you can have the schema on write approach in that sense. Yeah, so that will be the entire flow. Thank you. I will hand over to Varun.
Hi, everyone. I'm just trying to figure out how to move on to the next slide. For some reason, it's not letting me.
I can help you.
Oscar,
yeah.
You could stop
Thanks,
sharing
Oscar.
your screen.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, stop sharing.
There we go, thanks.
Okay, I don't see anything on my end. Okay, here we go. Okay, hi everyone, my name is Varun. I just have a couple of slides to give an overview of what is self-healing data management pipelines. And then I also have a demo for you guys today. So let's talk about what is self-healing data management pipelines. Our customers have told us, so you guys have told us over the last few years that monitoring and troubleshooting data management pipelines is really hard, especially for some of our larger customers. They have thousands of different data pipelines running, ingesting and processing data from hundreds of different data sources. It gets really tedious, really manual to monitor the health status of all these data management pipelines and ensuring that they are doing what they are expected to do and they are running healthy in their production environment. And that's exactly why we are building self-healing data management pipelines to close the loop with guided onboarding. So what Oscar just showed, guided onboarding helps you onboard your data faster and smarter into Splunk with self-healing data management pipelines, you can ensure that your pipelines that you have deployed using guided onboarding are running healthy and they're doing what they're supposed to do. Based on customer feedback, we have learned that customers face challenges across all the three stages of an incident. So whether it's identifying that an incident has happened, or figuring out the root cause of the issue, or finally getting to a point where you understand the root cause and then fix it in your production environment. The current detection experience is really manual. It takes a lot of time for admins to detect that something wrong has happened. Sometimes it takes days, sometimes it takes weeks, and by that time the damage is already done, and it has already caused blind spots in your security and observability use cases downstream. And that's exactly what we want to change with self-healing data management pipelines. We want that experience to be a lot more proactive. So instead of you guys finding out about these issues days and weeks later, you find out about these issues before they happen or as soon as they happen, so you can contain the amount of damage that they could do to your downstream use cases. Once you know that something is broken, the obvious next step is figuring out the root cause. And the experience there today is highly fragmented and manual. There are several different signals that are scattered across different systems that you as an admin needs to stitch together in order to find out the root cause of an issue. And obviously, that's not a great experience and not the kind of experience we want you to have. So what we want to deliver with self-healing data management pipelines is for you to be able to identify these issues, not within hours or days, but within just a few minutes. Lastly, once you know what is the root cause of the issue, the obvious next step is fixing it in your production environment. And the experience there today is also very complex, it's very manual. Admins have told us they maintain internal runbooks. They go to internet to figure out the root cause, to figure out how to fix and give an issue, and just requires a lot of Splunk, deep Splunk knowledge that not a lot of our admins have today. So with self-healing pipelines, we want to completely change that experience and deliver to you guys repeatable and productized fixes that you can just apply on your data pipeline in production, and you can be assured that it will actually fix the issue and the issue won't come back. And underpinning this entire experience, whether it's detection or root cause analysis or auto remediation, is how we are thinking about using AI or agentic AI to accelerate time to value across each one of these three stages. And it is going to be an evolutionary journey. We're going to start small. We're going to start with AI agents that are just advisory in nature. So they're just advising you. And we're going to slowly graduate to the next tier, which is human-gated, which is what we are planning to ship in alpha, for which I'm going to show you a demo in just a few minutes. And then eventually, as we have the right governance features in place on the platform, we're going to very quickly move towards an autonomous stage where you have these agents running in your production environment and taking actions on your behalf based on the guardrails, based on the policies that you have defined as admins. So I'm going to move to the next slide. And I'm going to talk about a very specific use case in the context of self-healing pipelines. And that use case is common information model. If you don't know what SIM is a set of data models provided by Splunk to normalize data across different vendors for a given data source. And why SIM is really important, especially if you are using one of our security products. If you're using enterprise security, we have a bunch of out-of-the-box detections that get shipped with the product. And all these detections assume that your incoming security data in Splunk is properly mapped to the right data model. And if anything happens, if the format of the data changes at source, or maybe a configuration of the technical add-on that's responsible for SIM mapping breaks, that breaks your SIM mapping in enterprise security. And that means your dashboards might show wrong results. They might not even run. Your ad hoc searches might not run or produce false results, or your out-of-the-box detection might not run. And that has all sorts of implication on your business downstream. So the use case that we're going to demo today is how do we detect that one of the security data sources, and we're going to use global protect logs from Palo Alto Networks. For our demo today, how do we detect SIM non-compliance for global protect VPN logs? How do we diagnose which feeds were impacted? And how do we resolve SIM non-compliance within just a few minutes instead of what it would take you otherwise, which is few hours to days, depending on how critical, how severe the issue is, and how much knowledge you have about the inner workings of Splunk. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and walk you through a demo. And before I start with the demo, one thing I want to call out is I'm going to show a real stack. So this feature, self-healing pipelines, is already in alpha, is something you guys can sign up for today. So I'm going to use a real stack to show you how this works in practice. And like I said earlier, I will be using global protect logs from Palo Alto Networks for the demo today. Self-healing pipelines is a capability that will be shipped as part of the ingest monitoring app. If you are a Splunk Cloud customer, you should already have ingest monitoring app on your stack. So I'm going to play this demo here. So self-healing pipelines will be, actually, before I play this, just to summarize what we'll be seeing today, I will be creating an alert on global protect logs to detect SIM non-compliance, and then I will be using an AI workflow to investigate the root cause of SIM non-compliance and also generate a fix and show how that will fix the non-compliance that we are seeing for global protect logs. So the first step is to create an alert. For that, I'm going to go to ingest monitoring app alerts page. I'm going to click on a new alert rule. It shows you a bunch of different templates that we support. We're adding a new template for SIM non-compliance. So I'm going to pick that, go next, and that brings up an alert workflow. So I'm going to give this alert a name. Let's name it test tech talk global protect. And I'm going to skip over the description and pick the data model that I'm interested in monitoring. So let's pick authentication. Based on the data model, the source type dropdown is going to show up and show you all the different source types that you have mapped to that specific data model. So in this case, there were 3, and I'm going to pick global protect logs. And then under the selected fields, it shows you all the different fields that are relevant for the given data model and source type. I can either monitor all of those fields, but if I'm only using a subset of them for my downstream use cases, I can just pick a couple of them. For this demo, I'm going to pick all of them. And this is where you can set up trigger rules for your SIM non-compliance. We covered 2 different types of non-compliance today. The first one is field coverage, which is basically whether all the fields within your events have the values or not. And the second one is value compliance, which is basically it understands the semantic meaning of the values. And if maybe your IP address has a name of a region, which obviously is not correct and can impact your downstream searches. So you can detect some of those things as well using semantic searches called value compliance on this dashboard. And then I'm going to set some basic alert parameters. This is very similar to what you can do in Splunk today. This is a very critical data source for me, so I'm going to set the severity level to critical, and I'm going to move on. This is where you can review everything. If everything looks good, you can move on. And then on the alert rules page, you can see the alert that you just created. For the demo today, I've already created an alert. And it looks like I already have a triggered alert on my global protect log that there is something wrong with the SIM compliance. And I'm going to move on and quickly click on that row, and it's going to show me a lot more context about the alert itself, the data model it was on, and the data source. I can also look at the underlying results, and this is where we are working on adding some enhancements, so you don't have to go outside the workflow. But for preview, this is what we have shipped. But when we ship GA, all of this will be part of the workflow itself. So it looks like I have a field called action, which is one of the more important fields for authentication data model. And looks like SIM expects the value to be either success, failure, pending, or error. But for some reason, I'm getting value for action field as timeout, and that can impact my downstream searches and enterprise security. So this is the issue that we need to fix. So this looks like something that you want to fix. You go back to your ingest monitoring, and you click on investigate, which triggers an AI workflow that fetches all the relevant information and starts an AI investigation. And it walks you through all the steps that it's taking. So you can actually look at exactly what the AI is doing at any point in time. And it also produces a fix, and that fix keeps changing based on new information that AI is discovering. So as you can see here, I don't know if you can see on the screen, there's a very small text. You can actually see that the AI was able to figure out that the action value was timeout, which does not match with it's not sim compliant. So it was able to figure that out, and it's going to generate a patch. And this is where you can see a side-by-side diff view. So you can see what is your current configuration and what does your new configuration should be in order to resolve this issue. One of the things you don't see is something that happens in the background is we do a full validation check. So we're not blindly relying on AI to generate the right patch. We are doing some background validations to make sure that the patch that AI is generating is not going to cause any sort of regression in your data and actually going to fix the issue. One of the things we're going to do as part of our GA delivery is we're going to bring that validation front and center on the screen so you can actually see how we validated that the fix is going to work. And you can also just change some of the suggestions from AI similar to a chatbot experience that Oscar showed for guided onboarding and customize this fix in order to meet your requirements. And then once you are satisfied with the fix AI has generated, it's gonna I'm gonna move on to the next screen. It's going to package that fix up in a downloadable TA package that you can apply on your stack. That is the experience for our alpha release. However, for GA release, instead of going through all these steps and having to upload the patch to your Splunk stack, we will automate most of it. And you will be able to just click on a button and say, I'm happy with the fix, go ahead and apply it. And that would apply the patch. And it will also send you a confirmation that we are not seeing the issue anymore based on the alert that you created in the first step. I think that's it for the demo today. Just to summarize, we saw how you can create an alert to monitor SIM compliance for any data source you have, and how you can use an AI investigation workflow to understand, to get more context about the alert, and get a patch that can fix the issue that you're seeing within just a few minutes. I think that's the end of our tech talk today. I'm gonna hand it over to Michelle for
Thanks, Varun. All right. Okay, so we're going to end with just some additional resources real quick. We have a handful of articles, demos, publications that we've built out so far. We'll make sure this is sent out to all of you guys, actually, so you can learn more on your own time. But let's dive into some Q&A. So it looks like people were submitting things during the meeting. Thank you so much. We've been answering on the fly. But what I want to start out with real quick is just some questions that I want to ask Varun and Oscar. So really quickly, from a high level, 30 seconds, a reminder, how will this help me save time getting my data in?
Yes, so like two problems, like data onboarding challenge, understanding what type of infrastructure I should set up and how to build my onboarding plan. This is one remediation, and the other one is how to make my data be configured and schematized to SIM. So I don't need to worry about alignment and adherence, and I can build unified reporting, monitoring, and so on. So these two problems are being tackled with what I was presenting. At least that's our intent. Thank you. Over to you, Varun.
Michelle, could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, how does this help save you time? What can customers get excited about how it makes their job easier?
Yeah, so I mean, self-healing pipelines as a concept is to automate discovery of anything wrong that's going on in your data management environment and fixing it within just a few minutes. So if you look at what happens today, it takes a long time for admins to detect something is wrong, and then it takes even longer time to fix the issue. And the issue comes back again because the fix wasn't appropriate. But with self-healing pipelines, what we're trying to do is automate that entire journey. So you, like, within just a few seconds, you're able to detect something is wrong, and within a few minutes, you can generate a patch and apply it to your production stack. So you're going to reduce the time to value to fix any issue in data management, whether it is for ingestion or it's for processing or it's for basically any of the any of the products we have in data management today. SIM compliance is just a start.
Excellent. Folks, please feel free to continue to send in your questions, your Q&A. This is the time to get it answered right by the folks that have built these features themselves. All of the ones so far that have been submitted, we've answered on the fly, but now's the time for any live Q&A. I'll keep going with a couple other questions while people submit. To both of you guys, when will these capabilities be generally available?
Yeah, so self-healing pipelines is in alpha right now. We started alpha program a couple of days ago. We're still working through some of the internal details to figure out the exact GA date. So maybe in a few weeks, I'll be able to answer that question. But unfortunately, I won't be able to answer the exact GA date, but expect it to be in the next 3 or so months. It's not going to be like 3 or 4 quarters. It's going to be a few months.
Yeah, so Splunk is moving fast this year, definitely. So like for guide onboarding recommendation agent, auto-schematization, both will be available in Splunk Cloud selected regions around mid-May. I mean, sorry, around mid-July. Yeah, so that's the plan.
Yeah, I think most of these capabilities are going to come out around the same time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right, folks, we are still going to be on the call for another couple minutes. Feel free to submit your questions. Otherwise, we're really appreciative of you joining, of interacting with us. And of course, all of this will be recorded and sent out to everybody who's registered. One fun shout out is a little after these go live. So we're aiming for later in the summer or fall. We'll have a like community office hours where folks can, we dedicate essentially an entire hour for folks to ask questions directly to our Splunk experts. It's a great way to start to use these features and get questions answered right as you're starting to use them. All right. So do we not have to wait for Conf 2026 for this? No, we do not. It should be GA this summer. So before Conf, which I believe Conf this year is the 2nd or 3rd week of September. And it's in Denver this year. So please, your registration is open. Yeah, we'll stay on for a bit. Feel free to submit more questions.
Yeah, so I'll just add some context here. So actually, some of these capabilities, I mean, all 3 have been announced in last Conf. Yeah, so now we are going into execution. So last Conf, it was also, I think, September. Yeah, so we announced this AI-powered data management end-to-end with all these capabilities going to execution in the following year. And this year we are actually materializing this and rolling out in alpha phases one by one and going to GA collectively around July timeframe. Yeah.
Excellent. I'm going to run through some previously answered questions, making sure that everybody sees the responses. So I'll ask this one to Varun. He answered this in the chat, but it brings up some good points. Varun, can we create pipelines that strip or mask sensitive data before it ends up in a database?
Yeah, so I'm guessing that question is in the context of either edge processor or ingest processor, and the answer is yes. Before you route data to any destination, any supported destination in ingest or edge processor, you can apply SPL pipelines and define the masking rules that you want to be applied to any fields within your events before it gets routed to a destination. The only difference between edge and ingest processor is when that happens, like at what point in time the masking happens. With edge processor, since it's deployed in your environment, it's going to happen much sooner. So you can do masking much closer to the source. Whereas with ingest processor, which sits in Splunk Cloud, your unmasked data is going to come out of, like, it's going to travel out of your own on-prem premise. It's going to go to Splunk Cloud, but before it gets ingested into or indexed in Splunk, the masking rules will get applied and you will be able to mask that data. And that's applicable for, I guess, both ingest and edge processor. I already said that.
Perfect. Thanks, Varun. Oscar, I'm going to ask one out loud that you have answered in the chat as well, but want to make sure folks hear the answer to this. So does this tool only work with data sets that you wish to be added to a Splunk data model? What if I want to add some functionality to do field extractions without including the events in a Splunk data model? How would you answer that?
Yeah, so I hope I answered the right question. Like I framed it well. So essentially, yes, today we have an ability to do both. I mean, we will have ability to do both. So schematize to SIEM and also extract everything by using the custom schema as an option. In future, we will expand to other schemas and expand to additional, let's say, use cases. So that's what's coming post GA. But yeah, these capabilities specifically will be available for GA. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, team.
Yeah, and just to add to that, in self-healing pipelines, as you onboard a data source using guided onboarding, you will be able to monitor that using self-healing pipelines. And that's what I meant earlier by closing the loop. Like we're not only helping you onboard data faster, we are also helping you ensuring that the data stays healthy in Splunk.
All right, I think that's it from us. Thank you guys so much for submitting your questions. Thank you to our experts for answering them. Appreciate it,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you so much. Yeah, I hope it was an interesting session. Thank you again, everyone, for joining, and enjoy your rest of your day.
Thank you, team. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.